Hello there.
Hello there.
Welcome to another episode of Them and Us with Carleen Bennett and
Errol Bennett.
And today we have been talking about why it is that people feel it's okay to go into a relationship with their baggage, but they haven't exposed their baggage, they haven't opened their baggage, they haven't unzipped their baggage, and they've gone into a relationship with a whole heap of baggage, thinking that they don't need to let the other person know what they got in their bag.
Until they start to get exposed, which happened to me.
It happened to you, did it?
Well, I came into the marriage baggage, didn't I?
What baggage did you come into? Yes, you did. But what do you mean you came into the marriage with baggage? You did, yeah.
Yeah, I had issues.
Yeah, you had loads of issues.
Still have.
What kind of issues did you have? Or have you got?
Well, I wasn't good with finance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I have baggage that, again, people don't like to talk about. It's that naughty word, isn't it? Finance. And people do. They go into relationships, they go into marriage, and they haven't spoken about babies, finance, families, their past, their other families if they've come from other families. And this can create a whole trailer load of problems. They haven't talked about their psychiatric head tops. They haven't talked about their anxiety. They haven't talked about a lot of things from their past, how they dealt with issues. And then, before you know it, you have to be calling the pastor or the counsellor or the marriage guidance people.
Or work through it.
Work through it. So, people feel that it's okay. They go into these relationships and they haven't thought things out properly. I.e., someone leaves their home, one of you have given up your home. You've moved into the other person's home, but you haven't spoken about your expectations of moving into that house. I.e., can my children come over and see me? How often can my children come over and see me? Where are we going to put them when they come over and see me? And can they stay over? That's just an example. But I think Errol wants to talk to you about some of his issues that he came into the marriage. So we can just work through those.
Well, I come from a very large family. And I couldn't get any advice from my father about marriage. There's 15 of us, 4 different women, so that was a no-no.
He was a bunny rabbit.
I don't know what he was. He was something, though, but...
Philandro.
But that's my situation where I came from. So going into marriage now, I didn't have a manual, a book or anything like that. The only advice I got from church really was make sure she can cook, make sure she can wash. Yeah, but I was doing all those things for myself anyway, so that didn't really matter to me.
No.
And I still do my own ironing now.
Yeah, I can't iron his shirt, so he has to do his own ironing, because the way that man iron his shirt, honestly, everything has to be pristine. The creases have to be just so. The cuffs mustn't have no creases down them. The arms mustn't have no creases down them. I ain't got time for that.
That's down to my mum. That's how my mum taught me, so that's the way I do it.
So I'll let him get on with it. That was one thing off my checklist, yeah. Without ironing.
Well, I find ironing quite relaxing anyway, so... I still do it now.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, I had a lot of baggage coming into this marriage. And...
Mind you, before you go any further, just stick one pin.
Yeah.
We were very young, so we both had baggage. I was 19 and he was, how old was he, 20? And I think he was 22 years older than me, right?
I was 22.
No, he was not 22. Your age can't change like that.
You was 19 when you got married? How old was I?
Yeah, he was 22. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry, 3 years older than me.
And she's the accountant.
Well, we've been in this mode a very long time. So I was 19 wanting to get out of my dad's house, and he was 22.
And didn't want to be like my dad, a player, So I got married young. Never played around anyway, so that was never me. So I met Carleen when Carleen was in what? Sixth form?
Didn't make it to sixth form. I was out before that. I was secondary school, 15 years old, and I left at 16.
Yeah.
16 now, I think it's year 11.
So I used to pick her up from school, but I had a lot of issues in my life.
Yeah, which you try to hide.
Had no intention of getting married,
Same thing.
but didn't want kids out of wedlock, so
Same thing.
had to do the right thing. And when I really started to take my marriage seriously is when Carleen was pregnant.
That was like 5 years after we got married.
Well, that's when I really started to take my marriage seriously.
We got married 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
They thought I was barren. They kept telling me to go to a doctor. And I kept looking at them and thinking, just leave me alone. I'm busy right now. And I was with work.
Yeah, a lot of work.
I worked a lot.
A lot of work.
I was very career orientated. I like to work.
So that's when the realization came to me that I've got a child on the way. I've got a mouth to feed, a little one to take care of.
Yeah, he didn't even wait until I was 3 months pregnant. You know what that man did? He went into Boots and cleaned them out. Was it Boots or Mother Care? Both of them. It was Boots and Mother Care. Cleaned them out. One Saturday morning, I woke up and all this stuff was coming in through the door. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he didn't even answer me. He was just there playing with his toys and unpacking everything and working out where it was all going to go. And I said to him, you've got to wait until I'm after 3 months, you know? What are you doing? It's traditional to wait until after. You know you've got past the 3 month period. What are you clearing out all the shops for?
There we go again. Tradition. I trust God.
Excitement all in. Yeah?
Yes, I did. Yeah, run ahead a little bit. I was excited. Yes. And when my child came along, I had a problem. And in my head, my wife has carried that child for 9 months. She's got a connection. She's got a link. That child doesn't know me.
It heard your voice. Give me.
It heard my voice. But when my son was born, my wife was breastfeeding. I started to express because I wanted to feed my child. I felt that I had to play catch up.
You did.
That's how I felt, that I had to play catch up because she had 9 months advance. It's a weird way of looking at it, but that was my thought process at the time.
So we had this beautiful bundle of joy. It was very traumatic. And and when we came home with him and I went into some sort of postnatal depression, but I didn't know it was postnatal depression because no one ever explained postnatal depression to me. So I'd get up and I didn't open the curtains, I didn't turn on the light, and I'd sit in the dark with this child thinking, why is this room so dark? And then when Errol came home from work, I was glad to hand this child over to him. Like, I've done my bit, you get on with it.
I was glad to do that. I was excited. Especially getting the buggy out.
Yep.
Pushing that pram down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Old Kent Road.
Yeah. And buying Michael Jackson clothes for the baby. I was just like, why are you dressing up our child like Michael Jackson? What is wrong with you?
That was a designer baby shop in the Old Kent Road.
Yeah, we had a designer shop. Lord have mercy. Errol bought everything designer for that baby boy to the point where I felt left out, you know. Again, you know, no matter how much I said, right, okay, I think we're going a bit over the top now. The baby had a £200 leather coat by the time it was 2 years old. And
all right.
Like, what are you doing? I wouldn't even pay £200 for a coat for myself. Baggage. And the thing is, you know, although he makes it sound as if it was so simple and everything, it weren't that simple because he kept saying to me, why aren't you pregnant yet? Why aren't you pregnant? I want a baby, And I was looking at him thinking, go away, leave me alone. I'm working. I'm not ready for a child yet. And at the beginning, didn't you say you didn't want children? Oh, you didn't say that. I can't remember.
No, I didn't say that.
You didn't say that. I was
No.
in my head and I just made sure it
No.
stuck there, yeah?
I've always said to myself that I was never going to have kids out of wedlock because that's the way my dad was, so I didn't want to go down that pathway, so
There you go.
I knew I had to be married.
So, that wasn't the only baggage you had in. I mean, he came in with bereavement baggage, where he had the loss. He was still going through bereavement. And at the time, I didn't realise that that's what was causing him to be the way he was. Sometimes he would just isolate up himself and I couldn't reach him. And then I would just leave him thinking, I don't know what's wrong with you today, but I can't help you because I don't know what's wrong with you. And bereavement, I think, everybody kept saying if you can get through the first 7 years, then you will make it.
I don't believe that. It's a lie.
It's a lie.
My sister's been passed away over 40 years now, and I still think about her. I still have my moments, and I still cry sometimes. Yeah.
But even with marriage, we were told like you got the 7 year itch. Let's talk about 7 year itch. Yeah, there's supposed to be a 7 year itch where you stay married up to 7 years, and then afterwards you're gonna walk about. And we did not experience that. We were too busy dealing with all our other issues. And it was so funny because at one point our pastor came round to have a talk with us and we realised that we dropped the ball on communication. Let's talk about communication. We dropped the ball on communication.
What communication?
Yeah, there wasn't any. And we were at loggerheads with each other because I was getting up going to work from 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd go into a full-time job 9 to 5, and then I'd be a receptionist from 5 till 8. So I wasn't getting home. He was there by himself because at that point you'd lost your job, didn't you?
Yeah, I've lost my job.
So you were at home by yourself, wasn't you? Mm-hmm. There you go. And then the communication just stopped. It just stopped, and I think it's because he got so used to talking to himself that when I got home, he didn't have anything left to say to me. And we didn't even realise, did we, that the communication had stopped. Someone had to come and bring it to our attention.
Yeah.
That communication is key, and you have to speak to each other. You have to communicate how you are feeling, and you have to try and work things through. And so we then tried again, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Because in all honesty, I even left a few times because I thought, well, I can't do this anymore, didn't I? Mm-hmm. And he come looking for me. Come looking for me at my workplace.
Exactly. At that point, you see, I locked down from a long time.
Yeah, he'd locked down from a long time. So we realised that, hold on a minute, we need to reinvent the way we communicate with each other. And that was the turning point in our marriage, which I call phase 2, because we did make it through to phase 7, but there was a lot of things like going against us because we didn't like where we live, and God just miraculously turned that around, didn't he?
That was really miraculous.
It was,
that was a miracle in itself.
Yeah, because we were going through a challenging time to the point where we were like running and staying at our parents' house sometime, both of us.
We had drug dealers outside our door, chasing the dragon, and drug dealers on top of the roof, and you come out in the morning time and you find all the drugs on your doorstep, the needles, and it was a tough time. Yeah. A really tough time.
Really tough. And so, we would run down to our parents' house and stay for a few days and then come back and, just lived through it. We were on the 4th floor. There wasn't a lift. And so we were just asking God to move us out. And one day, we went back to the flat to get some clothes, and we found a letter. A letter from a housing association offering us another flat in Greenwich. For those of you who know where Greenwich is.
This was Peabody Association.
Yeah. And when we went down to check it out, we were like, people ain't got no places like this. Where did this come from? And we were just in disbelief until we actually got into the property and realised that the key was the right key for that property. And we was like, wow. We had a beautiful, beautiful transformation, and we moved into that flat as soon as we could and fixed it up, and then that became our home. And it was a turning point for us because that other place was just a drug den, and it was just awful. And no one wanted to bring up a child in that environment, and we'd already had our child by then.
Yeah.
So to move him to Greenwich was a godsend, you know. And the estate was just fabulous with communal gardens, and the neighbours were just fantastic.
It was a beautiful place. That was before they built the DLR there. And the funny thing, as we moved there,
Yep.
I got a job right on my doorstep.
Yes, he did.
I was allowed to come home at lunchtime. I could do what I want to do at home,
Yep.
cook, then walk back to work. And it was a big turning point in our life, and it was a blessing.
Yeah.
And I think I was in that job for about 23 years.
Yeah. Yes, really. God really came through for us. And I want to take you back to, we're talking about baggage and, you know, not knowing how to deal with it. Because one time, we had a little ding dong. Let's call it ding dong for want of a better word, yeah. And I'd left the house and gone down to my mum's house. And when I came back, our drinking cabinet had been emptied, and we are not drinkers. They were off the back of our wedding, I believe.
Yeah.
A lot of the drinks that were in that drinking cabinet was off the back of our wedding.
No, it's a funny thing though, but I like to collect these little alcohol bottles.
The little miniature ones.
Little miniature bottles.
Because didn't have nothing better to do, yeah.
I don't drink, but I just like to collect them because back in those days, you know, my mum had a bar, and when we moved, she gave us the bar. So that was tradition back in the day. So I put my little drinks inside there, the glasses and
It's
things like that.
memorabilia.
Yes, call it that. And one day, I literally just went off the rails. I was just drinking bottles after bottles after bottles. And I remember the day because Carleen came in, and for a person, I was a person that didn't really talk. I was
That was
chatting
the problem, though.
like a parrot.
Yeah. A whole heap of stuff came out.
Everything came out. It's like I couldn't hold it any
It was
longer.
a different person, yeah. It all came out. All the pain, the hurts, the disappointments from his past life, before he got with me. Everything came out that night. I was looking at him thinking, what are you talking about? I don't even know this bit of you. Who's that you're talking about now? But he was oblivious because he was completely out of it. But all his little secrets came out. And I was like...
You said I was oblivious, but I remember leaving the Old Kent Road and going down to my parents' house.
He didn't leave no Old Kent Road.
I did.
No,
I did.
That's not what happened.
I did.
They came and got you because I rang them.
Yes.
And I said...
They left me there, though.
I said... Huh?
They left me there. I didn't go with them.
You didn't go with them?
No,
Look,
I didn't.
This is like 20 odd years later,
Okay.
people. This is 26 years late. How long ago was that? It was like years ago, and now he's just telling me now that... Didn't you go... How did you get to their house then?
That's what I said. I found my way down to their house.
How? I thought they came and pick you up.
No, they came down there. They saw me, and I said I didn't want to come. But eventually, I did go down there. I made my own way down there.
I didn't even know this.
Okay.
Right, and look how many donkeys years ago that was. And
Confession, good for the soul.
yeah, I rang them and I said, you need to come pick up your son because he's off the rails and I ain't got done what I'm supposed to do here. I don't know what to do, so I'm leaving him here. You need to come and get him. They were so furious with me, so furious with me. So I thought that they'd come and gotten him because when I went back, the place was empty.
You know, a lot of my issues from when I was younger came from the day my sister passed away. And on that particular day, I remember I was at 225 Evergreen Lane, combing my little brother's hair. My sister was in intensive care, and that Sunday we was about to go and visit her. We had a tenant in the house at the time, and my dad was preparing the car. And my little brother said to me, he wiggled away from me, went to the window and said, I want to see what that man's going to do to my dad. And as we went to the window, this tenant actually got a knife and slashed my dad down the side of the face there. My dad was so frightened, he grabbed something from the car and hit the man, and he fell down. And it looked like he was there for a long time, but he wasn't. He got up and runned off. And the time we got to the hospital in Leighton, Whips Cross Hospital.
That was where his sister was. That's where he was going
My
to.
sister had passed away. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of trauma on that day. And I never talked about it. Dad never talked about it. Mum never talked about it. And
Nobody talked about it.
I internalized that for a long, long, long time.
And then we had the overflow, yeah? Which is why that night the drink bottles became his best friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the wrong spirits.
Yeah. So had he offloaded a lot of these baggages, he could have saved himself so much trouble. And that time I hadn't had our children yet. I hadn't had our child yet.
No, we didn't have Ashley yet.
Yeah, we hadn't had him yet. So it was like, do I stay or do I go now? And
if you stay, there will be trouble.
yeah, if I stay there, we'll be trouble. And if I go there, we'll be trouble. But I ended up deciding that we were going to work it out. We were going, and I thought, this man hasn't told me a lot of stuff, obviously, and he should have done. And now we've got a whole heap of things to unpick and put back together again. And he was very angry with his father. There was a lot of hurt and pain coming out about his father, and his father didn't give him any affirmation, did he? And he really used him in that he would let you come and work.
It was a tough, because my dad had about 4 set of family, and one set of the family, as a child, I knew that he loved more than the other set, and it wasn't me. And as a child, I felt that deep down, seriously, because that was the only
Baggage.
man figure that I looked up to, my father. But when I saw my brother said, "Oh, did you get this from Dad?" Whatever he got, I got. But it was lies. Just didn't want to look silly. Felt rejected. Felt not wanted. But that was just the way it was. And I internalized that inside of me till I was a big man.
Baggage. We're talking about baggage. And not offloading your baggage or not speaking about your past, or I don't know if it is people. I think people just don't want you to run away. They don't want their prospective partners to run away, and so they think, if I shut up about this, they're not going to know.
You know something? It's not that. It's like you take a picture and you've got the negative there and it hasn't been exposed yet. So you're just dealing with the negative. But eventually when you develop that picture and you see, so that's his problem. Now I can see the picture. But I had a negative there for a long, long time. And I'm glad in a way that it got exposed. Because I could become myself. I could be me.
Yeah. It stops you from, as you say, being you, you know. There's different things that people will bring into the marriage, different elements of themselves that they hide, and they think that if they keep it hidden long enough, you're not going to notice it's there. Of course, I had my own issues, and as I said at the beginning, I had wanted to get away from my father's house, and that is why I was quite happy to get married young. I love this man to pieces, and I just wanted to have a life with him. And even though people, you can't really listen to people, because the amount of people that told me that this wasn't the one for me, and I thought, yeah, right, whatever, I don't care, and get to my dad's house. I didn't care. And like 34 years later, we're still here to tell the tales. That couldn't have been all that bad, could it? So
36 years.
see, I lost count after it got to 30. It was easy just not to count, just keep going, just keep going. It'll be all right, just keep going until you get to 50. And then when they tell you you're celebrating your silver wedding anniversary, you're like, really? That'll be me. Yeah. And it worked, it worked. There's people now that are going through some nonsense, and I'm listening to them thinking, what are you talking about, I know people like, they've allowed their partner to give up all their property, move in with them, and then they decide, hold on a minute, what's he doing? His children can't come over? That wasn't discussed with me. No, they can't come over. I haven't got anywhere to put them. Because, and this is stuff that I'm saying, you need to discuss. Do you want more children? Do you want to sell your house, maybe? Maybe you just need to... One pastor said to us, when things are going really, really wrong, what did he say, Pastor Sim? He said, you get rid of everything and start all over again. Now, people will say to you, what do you mean? But we did one time, didn't we? We literally moved houses, moved jobs, changed cars, and we changed as much of our life when things were not going great for us. And we literally started all over again. And sometimes I think if there's contention, because you've moved into somebody's property and you haven't laid all your cards on the table, sometimes, you just need to start all over again. Start from scratch, get a place where both of you have come together and agreed on the property and moved into the property together. Lay down your cards, make sure they know what the expectation is, and then you can try and unpick and work through the knots. Comb out the knots is what I say.
It's funny because although I come from a big family, there is no unity. And when I saw my wife's family, although they might have not had material things, but they were happy.
Yeah.
That is the joy that I was looking for. That's what I wanted in my family. Yeah, we had loads of material things. Yeah, my parents had about 4 or 5 properties. They had properties down in Jamaica, but it didn't mean anything because there was no love or no unity. So when I saw that in her family, that's what I was looking for.
We just took it for granted, that we were a loving family, and we thought all families were loving, and we thought it was normal. Of course, when we grew much older, we became much wiser. That we held it all together with each other, looked after each other, looked out for each other, held each other's hands as we went through the good, bad, and the ugly. And not everybody had it like that, because I couldn't understand. Let me tell you what I couldn't understand. When I used to go to his house was posh, very laid out, everything was lovely, everything was immaculate, everything was fabulous. And I'd think to myself, why is he leaving this beautiful house to come and sit down in our tin pan? And because, of course, we had worn carpets, worn wallpaper, worn furniture. Everything was worn, except for the front room, because you weren't allowed in the front room at all. It was a tradition. You kept one room in the house, you weren't allowed in there. Nobody was allowed in there, only visitors, that was it. So they would think the rest of the house was like that, and it wasn't. And he used to think, well, and I used to look at him thinking, why would you even want to be here? But as he said, it was because the love that was in the house made him feel like, I really like this environment, and I feel like I could be a part of this environment, right? Because one day, last week, I couldn't even remember this. He said he used to go and sleep in share my brother's room. He used to go and share my brother's room. I was like, what? He said, yeah, sometimes when you thought I'd gone home, I would ask your brother if I could stay over with him. I didn't want to go home. And I was like, I didn't even know that. So there you go. That just goes to show that, people, given the right environment, people can completely change, can't they?
Yeah, and it was a change. Even doing family holidays with her family, going abroad to like Canada, America, and one time on the Florida.
Can't forget Cornwall.
On the family holiday one time, I think there was 23 of us went to Florida. And wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a holiday.
Yeah. Good times.
That was a holiday. So we managed to salvage all of the loss that he'd experienced and give him some really good memories over the years that he can take into his future and be happy about.
And the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. So, people, word of advice, when you go into a relationship, open that big old dirty suitcase, and take all your baggage out, lay all your cards on the table so there is no ugly surprises. Sometimes when I watch telly and hear people going through 3 and 4 and 6 marriages, I'm thinking, whoa. And then it transpired that there was a lot of things they hadn't discussed with each other before they tied the knot. So let's undo those suitcases, get all the baggage out, because had it not been for the grace of God, we might not have this tale to tell. Yeah? So until the next episode of Them and Us, take it easy, love each other, take care of yourself, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.